From the Toronto studios, bringing you a special bulletin on the Israel-Palestine crisis. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story tonight. More than 50 people have been killed in Israeli attacks on 3 refugee camps in the last 24 hours. After Al-Maghazi and Jabalia, Al-Biraj is the 3rd refugee camp to be attacked in the last 24 hours. Israel also bombed a school in the center of the Gaza Strip, as reported by Al Jazeera Arabic. The Palestinian Ministry of Health announced on Sunday that 21 Palestinians from a family in Abu Hasira were killed in the Israeli bombing. Most of the dead are women and children. In the occupied West Bank, 152 Palestinians were killed and 2,100 wounded by Israeli forces and settlers during the same period. The number of Israeli soldiers killed since the beginning of the war has now risen to 346, including 32 who died after Israeli troops entered the Gaza Strip. The death toll in the Gaza Strip has risen to 9,770 since the beginning of the war on October 7th. Among them are 4,800 children, including 1,500 Palestinian fighters who died attacking Israel. The Palestinian death toll is now 11,270. More than 24,000 people have been wounded in the bombardment. Arab leaders have called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, urging the U.S. to intervene. However, Secretary of State Antony Blinken resisted the idea, expressing concerns that a ceasefire might benefit Hamas. The push for a truce comes as Israel's military offensive in Gaza continues, causing casualties among Palestinian civilians. Arab foreign ministers met with Secretary Blinken in Jordan and emphasized the need for a ceasefire. Jordan's foreign minister Ayman Safadi emphasized the urgency of ending the conflict, stating that the region was engulfed in a cycle of hatred. Egypt has also joined the call for an immediate ceasefire. Blinken suggested that he could support a pause in the fighting to facilitate humanitarian aid delivery and the evacuation of civilians. Representative Rashida Tlaib has accused President Joe Biden of supporting genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. Tlaib's strong rebuke comes in the midst of the Israel-Hamas conflict. She took to social media, posting a video featuring clips of Biden administration officials expressing support for Israel, along with distressing footage from Gaza and pro-Palestinian protests in the U.S. Tlaib concluded the video with a direct message to President Biden, asserting that the American people do not stand with him on this issue. Tlaib's message was clear. Joe Biden supported the genocide of the Palestinian people. The American people would not forget. Representative Tlaib, the only Palestinian member of Congress, has faced criticism for her vocal opposition to the Biden administration's stance on Israel during this ongoing crisis. Meanwhile, Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez pointed out that a significant majority of American voters across political affiliations support a ceasefire, as indicated by an October 20th poll by Data for Progress. Tens of thousands of peace movement demonstrators gathered in Washington for the National March on Washington, Free Palestine. Participants waved Palestinian flags, carried signs, and chanted slogans as they marched past the White House. Organizers representing various groups called for an immediate action to address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and an end to U.S. military aid to Israel. The protesters expressed their discontent with President Joe Biden's stance on the conflict, accusing him of enabling genocide against Palestinians. Similar demonstrations occurred in New York, Seattle, and other U.S. cities and internationally, sending a unified message to both Israel and supportive Western governments. The rally emphasized the importance of public support and community action in effecting change, drawing parallels with past movements like the anti-apartheid struggle against South Africa. Brian Becker, director for the Act Now to Stop War and End Racism, said the rally is sending a strong message to Joe Biden that he will be held guilty of genocide. Nihad Awad, the national director at the Council of American Islamic Relations, said President Biden and his party will understand the language of votes, and the message is no ceasefire, no votes. Palestine's Ministry of Health has issued a comprehensive report detailing the devastating effects of Israeli aggression on Gaza since the outbreak of the war. Key findings in the report are that 3 major hospitals, Al-Shifa, Nasser's Children's Hospital, and the Al-Quds Hospital, have been targeted and severely damaged by Israeli airstrikes. The Israeli bombing campaign also targeted the main electricity generator at the Al Shifa hospital, exacerbating the difficulties faced by medical staff. More than 70% of Gaza's population has been forcibly displaced from their homes, compounding the humanitarian crisis. Over 2,000 cancer patients who usually receive regular treatment in Jerusalem have been unable to access it since the start of the war. The overcrowding in hospitals is causing severe health issues and taking a heavy toll on the mental health of both patients and healthcare workers. Damage to water and sanitation services has led to a rise in respiratory infections, diarrhea, and chickenpox amongst the population. At least 25 sewage points have stopped working, posing a significant public health risk. Tragically, 175 medical personnel and 34 civil defense crew members have lost their lives in the ongoing conflict, further straining the capacity to provide medical assistance. More than 52 ambulances have been damaged, with 31 of them completely destroyed in bombings, hindering the emergency response efforts. Over 200,000 housing units have been destroyed, equivalent to 50%, and that 42 buildings of the United Nations agency have been damaged. At least 7 churches and 55 mosques have been damaged. Over 73% of the people killed during this conflict were children and women, highlighting the disproportionate impact on civilians. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.